Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everyone. Welcome back to the Faith Revival. So when we talk about the increase of Iman in the Quran, it almost always has to do with the Quran. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ الَّذِينَ إِذَا ذُكِرَ اللَّهُ وَجِلَتْ قُلُوبُهُم. That verily the believers are those, if Allah is mentioned or if Allah is remembered, their hearts shake. Their hearts immediately tremble. وَإِذَا تُلِيَتْ عَلَيْهِمْ آيَاتُ. But then once the verses of the Quran are recited upon them, زَادَتْهُ إِيمَانًا, then it increases their heart. وَعَلَى رَبِّهِمْ يَتَوَكَّلُونَ. And they put their trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah mentions that remember that catalyst, the initial moment of the remembrance of Allah, the heart trembles. But then the Quran settles it and it grows the Iman in the heart. It grows that faith in the heart. Almost every single time Allah mentions ziyadatul iman, the increase of faith, it comes through reciting the Quran with contemplation and reflection and remembrance. There is nothing that can foster faith in the Quran or foster faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There is nothing that can foster faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala like a meaningful connection to the Quran. When you read the Quran as if it's been revealed to your own heart, as it was revealed to the heart of the Prophet ﷺ, and you allow it to grow Iman inside of you. The Prophet ﷺ says, إِنَّ الَّذِي لَيْسَ فِي جَوْفِهِ شَيْءٌ مِنَ الْقُرْآنِ كَالْبَيْتِ الْخَرِبِ. That the one who has no Quran in his heart is like a destroyed house inside. You know, if you think of a Bayt al-Kharib, it's ruins. It's not even nothingness. It's ruins that are inside your chest, inside your heart. So the Quran increases Iman in the heart, whereas not having Quran, the inside is nothing but ruins. There's nothing to stabilize it so that a person can grow in their relationship to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is something very profound. How does the Quran really guard your Iman? Imam Hassan al-Basri rahimahullah, someone once said to him, فُلان يحفظ القرآن, that so-and-so memorizes the Quran. قال بل القرآن يحفظه. He said, rather the Quran protects him. Because hifth means to guard. It doesn't just mean to memorize. It means to guard. He said, rather it's the Quran that guards him, not he that guards the Quran. What he meant by that is that when a person increases their connection with the Quran through memorization, that has a particular effect on your Iman. Why? Because through memorization you are busying yourself with the Quran. So you're filling your free time with the memorization of the Quran. You're memorizing it so that you can recall it in times where you will have to recall it. So it busies you with your free time. It takes up your leisure. You are instead spending that time memorizing the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala while others fill their heads with so much nonsense. Then reciting the Quran has a particular effect on your Iman. Notice Allah says, وَإِذَا تُلِيَتْ عَلَيْهِمْ آيَاتُهُ. When the verses are recited to that person. Or when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in Surah Maryam that the sign of the believers, the mark of the believers, إِذَا تُتْلَى عَلَيْهِمْ آيَاتُ الرَّحْمَنِ, when they hear the verses of the Most Merciful, they fall in prostration and humility and tears. The Quran affects them from a recitation perspective. So the recitation of the Quran grows their humility. So the Quran takes care of time. It takes care of the heart in humility. And one thing the Prophet ﷺ taught us to do, and this is a very practical way to bring Iman into your recitation of the Quran, turn every ayah of the Quran into a dua, into a supplication. If you can find a way as you read the Quran, the way the Prophet ﷺ did, particularly in the night prayers, every time he read a verse of the Quran, Salama says, he would remember Allah and he would make dua. How do I turn this verse of the Quran into a dua so that I can actively engage my Iman in that moment? But nothing increases a person's faith the way that the recitation of the Quran does. And this is something very significant because we said that the Prophet ﷺ mentioned healthy fluctuations. There are healthy fluctuations of Iman. If the only time you read Quran is in Ramadan, then that in and of itself is indicative that your fluctuations of Iman are not healthy at all. If the only time you touch the Quran is 1 month of the year, then your heart is going to die for 11 months and you'll have to resuscitate it for that 1 month in Ramadan. So the recitation of the Quran has to be measured throughout the year to keep that Iman beating and increasing at that healthy pace. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us with the Quran, guard us with the Quran, and make us people of Quran. Allahumma ameen. Jazakumullahu khairan. Inshallah ta'ala, I'll see you next time. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.